Hi everyone, I'm Marla Miller from marlamiller.com presenting our 99th Quick Query Critique. Before I read this letter, which is memoir, nonfiction, I just want to give a shout out to all of you that our first WebWise Writer webinar is going to be tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So if you're on the East Coast, that's going to be 7, I think, and if you're in the Midwest, I think that's going to be 6. But if you're interested in attending this and just sitting in and listening and asking questions through the chat room, that would be great. We are on the hot seat, which I lovingly call it, is an author who I met at a Santa Barbara Writers Conference, and after reading his first, middle, and last chapter of his novel, thought he would be a good candidate for this. We really want to show novelists that you can and must build a platform. After we selected him, his novel was, he had entered the Amazon writing contest, breakthrough novel contest, and after he was selected, 2 days later, he was told that the novel went through to the second stage. So we've got a novelist here who's, you know, maybe getting this novel published sooner versus later, and all the more reason to build and fortify his platform. So I hope you join us. It's our first one, and you know, we're working out the kinks as we go, but I think it's a good forum for this kind of tutorial. Okay, so let's do this query letter. Dear blank, your agency caught my eye after reading the August 16, 2011 Publisher's Lunch that you placed Jill Smockler's parenting book. After reviewing your website, I believe that my book, I Only Think of White, a memoir of moods, mental illness, love, and laughter, fits your agency. The 70,000-word memoir is about a tumultuous yet joyful mother-daughter relationship that encompasses not only the author's mental illness and hospitalization, but her daughter's diagnosis of bipolar disorder at age 9. The story follows her into her teen years, including her unexpected recovery. The memoir begins with the family chaos created by the daughter's rage as a young child and her parents' desperate and unfortunate reactions to her. When at age 7 she threw her plate of spaghetti across the kitchen and stabbed the author with a dinner fork, the author could no longer deny the severity of the situation. It also was on a typical day like this that siblings' name, then just 4, pleaded with the author that they all move to jail together, even though he knew he wouldn't like living there because it was the only place he could think of that he would be safe from his sister. Crushed, the author felt she had failed both of her children. She and her husband talked to therapist after therapist, trying to avoid institutionalization of their daughter while hoping to keep their family of 4 together. Doctors recommended strong antipsychotic medications for the young daughter to address the bipolar disorder diagnosis. But the author believed that the doctors had misdiagnosed her, and she wanted to address the behavior and relational issues head on. The story of relationship and hope culminates in the joys and satisfaction surrounding not only a remarkable miracle, but also personal growth and transformation of both mother and daughter. I Only Think of White complements parenting guides such as the consistently popular The Explosive Child by Ross Greene. It tells an intimate, unique family story like Gene Wall's The Glass Castle, and it combines professional and personal experience of mental illness as done successfully by Kay Jamison in her memoir, An Unquiet Mind. The author has worked as a professional writer in corporate communications, as a psychotherapist working in emergency mental health services, and parent of 2 teenagers. She has a background necessary to write this book. She's developed a series of workshops that she intends to offer to parenting groups and mental health professionals as part of the promotional work of this book. I Only Think of White comes at a time of increasing interest in stories about people thriving in spite of challenges with mental illness. I hope you will consider representing it. Thank you for your time and consideration. Best regards. Okay. So what do I think of this query letter that is pitching I Only Think of White, a memoir of moods, mental illness, love, and laughter? Right off the bat, I Only Think of White, I don't get that. So I don't know if this author maybe wants to rethink that title, but you know, in nonfiction we really like the title to reflect what we're going to read, and remembering that the subtitle will often be cut off. So I Only Think of White is what you're going to be seeing in social media or wherever, and it really doesn't tell me anything. I don't know what that means, and I have a very long history in as a mental health professional, and get that. So I would encourage her to at least look at that. Now, did the rest of you notice how long this query letter was? You might have noticed by how long I talked. I could feel it. That the query letter was just really much too long. I think that the heart of the query letter is in the third paragraph. And when at age 7 she threw her plate of spaghetti across the kitchen and stabbed her mother with a fork. I think that that's a pretty good, that paragraph, might be a pretty good opening for this kind of book. But I think that the author has some hurdles to climb with this book because I don't really know what it's about. If it's about mental illness, then I'm confused, and the miracle that cured her daughter is either a red herring, or the entire book should revolve around that. Because if in fact what it sounds to me like, and again, I don't know, I just have this letter, but what it sounds to me like is that this family went through a horrific time, and they did not follow the recommendations of mental health professionals. Instead, they kind of carved their own course, and successfully, it sounds like, because a miracle happened. Now, if it truly was a miracle, then I really think this is more of a a faith book than a mental health book, because mental illness is it's such a serious malady that people have. To read a book that then says but a miracle happened, I don't know. It's fine if it happened, but I think you should wrap the query letter around the miracle. Despite the fact that we were told by 10 agencies that our 7-year-old daughter had bipolar disorder, we persevered with our own treatment modality, which included XYZ. And as a result, our 7-year-old daughter, a miracle happened. And she is no longer suffering from severe mood swings that make her dangerous to herself and us. So if that's the story, that would be the story that I would pitch in a query letter. She brings in several books that are about mental illness, and again, it kind of throws me off even more because I haven't read all of them, but certainly The Explosive Child I'm very familiar with, and An Unquiet Mind I'm familiar with, and these were real heavy-duty books about treatment of diagnosis and treatment of mental illness. So I'm sorry if I can't be more helpful than this, but I don't really know what the central theme of this story is. If it's about mental illness and how they went through the system and it took them a long time, but they found a really nice result, that's cool. If it's about mental illness and they went through the system and they didn't find a nice result, but really discovered their own through trial and error, that's a story too. But it sounds like the author wants it to be both. And just for me, my personal opinion, I think it dilutes it too much. And so I think an agent would say, what's this story really about, and what are we going to learn from this? Are we going to learn that prayer is the answer? Are we going to learn that behavior modification is the answer? Are we going to learn not psychotropic therapy because she wouldn't put her on drugs? So where's the treatment modality, and what really is this book? What is the essence of this book about? And so I hope that this is helpful, and I know it probably isn't good news for the author to hear. Keep in mind, just my opinion. Until the next time, be well. Keep writing.